According to my YouTube analytics, one of the most frequently searched questions by you, my wonderful YouTube audience, is what's the best focal length for landscape photography? So today I've come to the beautiful Yorkshire Dales to answer that question once and for all. The truth of the matter is, there isn't a best landscape photography focal length. Well, I'm glad we've cleared that up. Thank you very much for watching. What, you want me to elaborate? Well, I suppose I could do that. Let's use this scene here as an example. Now, when most landscape photographers head out, they tend to reach for a wide-angle lens. I'm currently shooting this at 28mm, which is the widest focal length I own for my full-frame camera. Now, wide-angle lenses tend to be great at showing off the vast and open nature of a landscape, but with that comes a few problems. When we use a wide-angle lens, we've got to be mindful that there's going to be more in the frame. A mistake that many photographers make with wide-angle lenses is they place their subject too far off in the distance without balancing it off with foreground interest and maybe something interesting in the background as well. What this leads to is the photograph just looking a little bit stretched. Our lines have to take us further and our perspective has to work extra hard to keep our eye confined within the frame. So here I've tried to position these rocks carefully in the foreground so they act as foreground interest, but we've also got this gap of a leading line that takes us off towards the trees in the distance and then further on towards the rolling landscape behind. Although these rocks help to balance the composition and the nature of the wide angle helps us to show off the vast open nature of the landscape, I think for this particular example we could benefit from just going a little bit tighter. So we're now shooting at 50mm, and what I've done is I've pushed my camera back ever so slightly and also lowered the angle. By doing this, I'm trying to place more emphasis on these foreground rocks, but at the same time squash the perspective between the rocks and also the trees that are coming down from the horizon on that left-hand side. Hopefully, what this is doing is just making the frame a little bit more compact. It's still showing off the landscape as it appears, but we're just organising it and balancing it in a slightly more constructive way. However, there's a downside to this as well, because we're not really showing off the vast and open nature of the landscape anymore. Because we're making more of a feature of the rocks and bringing the trees closer in, it's becoming a little bit more confined. We're seeing details within the landscape rather than the whole landscape itself. When you think about landscape photography, your mind probably doesn't go straight away to telephoto lenses, but I think these can work in certain situations as well, especially in this one here. What we're doing this time is completely ignoring the rocks in the foreground and just concentrating on the shape and contrast that the trees are creating on that left-hand side. They're becoming a lot more of a subject, and the background behind is creating that contrast and context. So we can see how by picking out little details within the landscape using our telephoto lenses, we can experiment with light and composition to really show off a different perspective. This composition here is being shot at 150mm, and again at that slightly lower angle with my camera pushed back, our frame is neatly balanced and it just works. The point that I'm trying to get across by sharing these examples is the fact that it shouldn't be the type of photography that we're doing that dictates our focal length choice, more each individual shot. If you want to show off the vast open nature of a landscape, then use a wide angle. If you want to pick out little details within it and compress the frame a bit more, then use a mid-range focal length. And if you really want to pick out light and contrast and detail at an extreme level, then why not try telephoto? Photography is a subjective creative process, and like pretty much everything within photography, focal length is a choice that is not dictated by the type of photography that we do, but a shot-by-shot basis. So next time you're out, try something different. You never know, it could make all the difference. So if you've enjoyed this video, then please like and subscribe and all that jazz. And if you'd like to learn why I think narrower focal lengths are better than wide angles, watch this video next. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you again soon.